Hi, this is JilMac, and I am going to be giving you an overview about our new student web server and uploading files and kind of how to find where they are out on the internet. So my students and fellow faculty know that if they need me, they can give me a call. There's my hours and my website. So let's go and look at kind of the overview. This page under JilMac.com in workshops and classes is the student web server. And the student web server, we know that all the information to set up your login account is on this sheet. And if you are in a class that's participating in this beta, you will be able to set up your login. Now there's three real products or terms that we're going to use a lot. And one of them is classweb.ccv.edu, and that is the address that we go out to log in. And it's also the address with a prefix of where you're going to find some of your information that you have uploaded, your web pages. But there's a little bit more to it than that. We're going to be going over that. The next product is Centora, and Centora is an open source web hosting control panel. And this control panel is what we're going to be using to go into our file transfer software. The file transfer software is called ELF File Manager. And ELF File Manager allows this files and directories and zip files to be uploaded to your server space. So here we have the name of your server space and its web address. We have the name of the control panel, which is Centora, and we have the name of the file manager that we're going to be using to upload files to the server. And the reason that we need to upload files to the server is that in order for the world to see your web page, you have to have it on a file server. You can't just have it on your own individual personal computer, because then only you can see it. Or if you have a little network, that little network can see it. But if you want it to be out on the web where everyone can see it, you have to transfer these files up. And the product that we're using to transfer files up is ELF File. We have to have a server, which we do, classweb.ccv.edu, and we have to have some kind of a control panel. And Centora happens to be an open source web hosting control panel. And that control panel allows us to get to different areas of our server space. File management is just one of them, but it's a big one. And initially it's kind of the most important to get your files up there. So once you have those instructions, then you can kind of look through, and these are the different videos that we're going to be having. Okay. So let's log in. So I'm going to log in to, oops. So let's log in. Okay, for whatever reason it had timed out. If I make this a little bit smaller, as I make it smaller, you can kind of see the whole control panel. So this is the control panel when you have a screen that's wide enough. And as we scroll down, what we're going to be looking at is our file management, and specifically ELF Manager. But as I make my screen wider, or if I'm working on a tablet or something with a smaller screen, then we're going to have more of a scrolly menu where to get down to your files, you're going to scroll down to File Management and go into ELF File Manager. Now I've already FTP'd, or I've already transferred my files up to my space. And MySpace has this JAM08260. So if I wanted to go out and find where that is on the web, I could go out to classweb.ccv.edu, and that's not really going to tell me anything. That's going to just bring me to a login screen. So let's go back. And let's just go out there again. But this time, I need to put who I am. And I am JAM 08260, class web ccv.edu. Now, when I put in that URL, that brings me to a panel that says, this is a shared web host. The shared web host is CCV Educational, and it's called Class Web, and it's running Red Hat. So we are a Linux server. This happens to be the test page. It's telling us that we're powered by Apache 2.4 and some general information about this Red Hat. It isn't going to get us anywhere until we give it more of a path of where we are. So let's go into Centora. When we're in Centora, we can see this is my JAM. This is my kind of root folder. But my root folder has places for my backups and information about me, and folders I can create. But anything that's going to be put out on the web is going to go into a folder called public.html. So this is where your HTML is going to go that's public. So I don't have to put anything in there, because when I'm at this public place, this is where I am. That shows me this is the public area. Now, if I want to look at the web development, if I put in web dev, and because I have a file called index.html, that file is going to open up. So let's give it the path of web dev, and notice how I capitalize things, because Linux is case sensitive. Now, the index.html file that I have out there has this for an H1, and then it displays a picture of our textbook, and then it shows me what's in assignment 1. Assignment 1 just has a little text file. And if I look in assignment 2 tells me I'm forbidden. And the reason that I'm forbidden is that there is no index.html, or I haven't identified where the file is. So if I go into Centora and I'm in my web development and I open my assignment 2, because assignment 1 already has, there isn't anything in this folder. We just, in the previous video, we uploaded something to assignment 3, and it's got an index 1 HTML. So if I go and I change this assignment 2 to assignment 3, and I give it the index-1.html, it's going to bring up that file. Hello world, welcome to JilMac's development class. And if we look at this, if we double click it, it's going to, display it. If I right click it and say I want to preview it, it doesn't let me do that. Let's just close that. Let's see what my other options are. If I right click it, oh, and I want to edit the file, it's got a little editor here. I don't want to do that one. I thought I had a little edit. Here's where I can create a zip file or a tar file. That's where I can edit it. If I had an editor linked, maybe I can open it up. Opening it up just previews it. I thought that there was an editor associated with it, but if I wanted to, I could download this to my PC, and then I could, and I think that's what I'll do right now. I'll download it, and I'm going to save it so it'll be in my downloads. If I go to my download file, and so I'm in my downloads and I want to sort it by, here's that index 1. Now I'm down on my computer, and on my computer, if I go to open it, I can open it with Adobe Dreamweaver or brackets or Chrome, or Sublime Text is another one. I'm going to use Notepad++. And when I open that in Notepad++, here is the code. So here's the code that was created with this assignment 3, and it's Hello World. So I put my Hello World in there. And so this is the code that runs it. And when I look at the Hello World document, so here is what it looks like on the web, and this is the text or the HTML that makes that display like this. So that is how we kind of find the path to where our files are that are out on Centura. Now, if you look at Centura, you know, for web development, I have a folder, but I also have a folder for PHP. And in PHP, I have quite a few files, and I also have an index.php. So if I were to, instead of going to my web development class, if I went to my PHP class, it would bring up the files that I have put in there for the PHP class, which uses a different book and different curriculum. Okay. I also, on our class web.ccv.edu, because out here I also, besides having a PHP folder or a web development folder, I also have a WP folder, a WordPress folder. So if I were to go out, instead of to web development, if I were to go out to WordPress, and WP is lowercase, so I want to just show you that WP is lowercase. This web development has capital Web, capital Dev, and the PHP folder is all capitals. And we have to remember that we're no longer in our little environment of Macintosh computers or Windows computers that are not case sensitive. We're out on a Linux server, and Linux is case sensitive. So the difference between typing in WP, small WP, which will bring up my WordPress site, which is just a very basic, generic first installation, Hello World, JilMac CCV. So I have done a couple of little things. But that's how I would bring it up. If I did a capital WP, what would happen is that file isn't found because there is no capital W, capital P folder. I only have a small W, small p folder for WordPress, which is the default. Okay. And so when you are done transferring your files and looking at your files and how they look out on the web, whether it's for a web development class or whether it's for a PHP class, or whether it is for to learn WordPress, all of those, once you know that path and once you know where you have put your files, that's how you find out where your address is. So for the students in my class, if they scroll down to their student page, the student page will come up, and I've already no, I haven't put it in for that. I have put it in for the PHP students. Let me show you. So that will be changed, but here the PHP students already have their space. However, they have not transferred any files yet, so you're only going to see the basic Red Hat kind of thing. Excellent. Well, to log out, once you're done, you want to go up to your account and you want to log out. And when you're done kind of looking at this page, you can just go back. for some people, because some people don't even really use this address bar. A lot of people, you know, when they're looking for something, they're just going to type it in here, classweb.ccv.edu. You know, so when you look at that, you're going to see some references to it, but because this is an educational, we've told the browsers really not to crawl. Don't crawl through that. All the browser bots not to crawl. So you're going to see links to it from my web pages and different assignments and things, but you're not going to see it come up here. So you're going to have to type this kind of stuff in your address bar, because Google is not going to be able to crawl the CCV sites. But anyone who has that link to your web page, classweb.ccv.edu, and we'll look at mine, and we'll look at the web dev. So anyone who has this link out on the internet will be able to find it, but just it hasn't been crawled. It hasn't been indexed on it. So when you're done, you want to log off, and until the next video, have fun.